Hi, my name is Colonel Michael Brown. I'm the president of Hargrave Military Academy. Thank you so much for watching this video. It'll be a tour of the campus, and you'll get to meet a lot of people that make this campus work day in and day out. We wish you could have been here in person, but we know sometimes circumstances preclude that. We hope you'll enjoy this video, learn about Hargrave, and it'll help you make a decision on where to send your son. I want to first tell you the basics about the Hargrave program. Hargrave program is centered on 4 development pillars: academics, athletics, character, and faith. Each one of those pillars is equally important to the development of your young man, and we put a lot of energy and resources against each one of those. Day in and day out, your son will be immersed in a program that's going to turn his potential into opportunity. That opportunity at the end of his Hargrave time may be the college of his choice or the vocation of his choice. But regardless, when your son leaves Hargrave, at the end of his time, he will be a young man prepared for lifelong success.
This is the Colin Powell Center for Leadership, and here is a dedicated space where our students can gather together as cadets and study leadership and leadership skills. And there's a lot of emphasis on leadership across the 4 pillars here at Hargrave, but this is kind of the heart of all the leadership activities we do. Every student is required to take at least one leadership course during their time here, Leadership 1. Most of our students are going to opt to take Leadership 2 because of the value they see in the program. And so we have a tremendous success of developing young men. The activities that take place in the Leadership Center are intentionally designed to press these young men out of their comfort zones and push them forward in the area of leadership. They not only gain theoretical knowledge, but they're given opportunities to practice it and try it and put it into place. So they'll take turns leading teams through different obstacles and drills. They spend a lot of time on the obstacle course in our military training area, doing different events and activities that test their leadership skills. Your young man might be the leader of the team and given a mission to accomplish. And in leading his team through the obstacle course, he'll be presented with different challenges that will press him to make decisions, to consult others, and to overcome obstacles together as a team. That's a big part of what we do here, is teaching these young men to work together as a team, to develop within themselves the character that they need to be good leaders. We're sitting here with Lieutenant Colonel Nick Morris, who is the Assistant Head of School and is in charge of our Military Department operations. And we're going to talk a little bit now about what it means to be a military school and how that plays out in the life of our cadets here at Hargrave Military Academy. So Colonel Morris, could you tell us a little bit about why a military school?
Well, probably easier to start with what a military school is not. So a military school is not a boot camp, it's not a recruiting station, and it's not a reform school. So if you take away the things we are not, what we are is military structure of self-discipline, esprit de corps, confidence, and team building as a foundation for our 4 pillars of academics, athletics, character development, and faith development.
Can you tell us a little bit about how the military department plays out in day-to-day life for our cadets, like what that looks like for them?
So the military department is responsible for the structure around the school, supporting our 4 pillars. We handle the life, what we call residential life on the barracks. So we have TACs, teacher advisor counselors, all retired military, who are up on the barracks assisting our cadet leaders and making sure that things are being done properly. In many other schools you would call them dorm parents. Here we call them TACs. They're also responsible for accountability, so we know where our cadets are at all time. And then that advisor piece is that they're teaching the cadets how to be leaders, how to be great followers, and then how to move forward to become successful.
So in terms of the structure of the day, the military department time actually occurs around the academic time.
It does. So the academics, athletics, character development, and spiritual development, those 4 pillars we talk about at Hargrave, we consider them sacrosanct in each of their areas. The military department ensures that each one of those are supported, not encroached upon by the others unless absolutely has to, and that the cadets are given their full effort to each pillar. So for us, military time really starts 06 in the morning when we wake you up. And then our formation, we do 3 formations a day for accountability purposes. And so the cadets can exercise their leadership roles. And then we make sure that there's what we call military time or residential lifetime in the evenings, where we'll teach skills, catch up on homework, clean the barracks, self-discipline, get ready for the next day, and then we put you to bed at 2200, 10 o'clock at night.
What would you say is the secret to success at Hargrave?
Well, the lucky part for our cadets at Hargrave is that they've got Marines kind of up on top of the key areas here, and so we keep it simple. And so we talk about secret to success at Hargrave. The equation is the Hargrave program plus your opportunity equals success. The Hargrave program, very simple. It's a cadet planner. First 26 pages tell these cadets what they need to do to be successful. They follow the 26 pages, everything outside of that, everything inside that boundary, sky's the limit for their success. So again, the Hargrave program plus their opportunity, maximizing everything they can do inside the structure of that program, guarantees success. It has not failed in 111 years.
So if a student could embrace the planner without their heart in putting their heart into it, so to speak, how do we encourage the cadets to really take it and run with it, to own it, and so that it's not just a guide for what I'm supposed to do when, but a way of life that they take out? Because so many of our successful alumni come back and say, patterns I developed at Hargrave are what set me up for success in the future.
Well, and that's a great point about how do we look at this as a checklist or a heart list. Checklists are easy. They're like diets. You're like driving down the road. You can get there, but it's tough, and there's not much enthusiasm in it. If it's a culture, a mindset, what I call a heart list, as you put well, they embrace it, then all of a sudden it changes, how they think and how they approach things. Success in life has really been proven throughout the ages. We don't really have to reinvent it, even though there's a lot of new books every year. We know from the very beginning of times what made great teams, what makes great individuals on those teams, what makes great leaders of those individuals in those teams. That's all we did is we copied it, we've packaged it for 111 years, we've presented it. Those young men that grab it will be successful.
We're here in Cheatham Chapel in Chatham, Virginia to talk with Chaplain Adam Felty about the faith program here at Hargrave Military. The faith pillar is one of our 4 pillars that contribute to our holistic development of young men into leaders of character prepared for lifelong success. So tell us about some of the opportunities that Hargrave affords students to develop their faith life.
So we have a very robust faith program here. So we have 2 chapel services a week that we also, in those messages, we integrate our character development program into those messages. So we look at the Bible and stories of men and women in the Bible who lived out their faith and who led their families and their communities and their peers in their faith, everyday life. So we have the 2 chapel services. We also have a period of devotions that are scheduled into a cadet's busy time. So they have that opportunity to really dive in and start taking their own personal ownership of their faith. We don't want them just to simply be going to chapel because that's what they're supposed to do. We don't want cadets simply going through the motions. We want them to really understand it for themselves, to have a personal investment in it, to take ownership of it, to make use of their free time, and they actually want to get into the Bible. They actually want to pray. They actually want to have that relationship with God.
So here with Ben Vesey, the Director of College Counseling and our head varsity basketball coach. So for most of our families, Ben, being away at boarding school presents some interesting challenges. They would normally do things like schedule their son to take the SAT or the ACT. Tell me about how we accomplish those things here, and then also how we prepare them for success on the test.
Absolutely. So we offer the SAT twice a year on campus, typically October and May. We offer the ACT once on campus in December, but all the other testing dates, which are about once a month, are offered at Chatham Hall, which is right across the road, and our young men have continued to take the test there for years. We have an SAT prep elective, which encompasses SAT prep, ACT prep, and some college enrichment. So it's really a comprehensive class that, we've seen guys improve their scores, on average for people taking the class between 300 and 400 points. And then, in addition to preparing people for testing. I'm also the NCAA liaison on campus for any prospective student athletes interested in playing Division I or Division II sports. So it all ties in together under college counseling's umbrella.
We are in our Academic Learning Center, and we're here with Dr. Jim Tong, who is the Academic Dean at Hargrave and in charge of all things related to academics and to our programs in those areas. So I want to talk briefly, Dr. Tong. One of the things we say often around here is we know how to teach boys. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means?
Oh, sure, Wes. Thanks for asking. So Hargrave's been in business for about 100 years, and during that time we've learned something about boys. And I think one of the key things is it's about relationship. I think guys like structure, they like order, and that's a good thing. But beyond that, they also need to have a kind of a boy-friendly or guy-friendly way of interacting with adults, which means our adults have concrete expectations. Everything from when you're supposed to be at class, what you're supposed to look like in class, what you're supposed to bring to class for supplies, and then more importantly, what the plan of the day is. And so the same things that make them successful athletes or they like about the military structure or jobs which are well defined, our classroom replicates that. And so every student is kind of placed in a course that is both challenging as well as meets his expectations to be ready to go off to college and on to lifelong success. So what we want to do is make sure that every young man has the option of college. And we've been pretty good at it. Over the last 20 years, we're at 100% college acceptances. But really the question is to make sure that it's the right college for the young man. Going to the college that's made it on the top 100 colleges on U.S. News and World Reports is certainly good for the ego. But if the young man's not really into that kind of college or isn't really interested in that major that great college might have, he's really going to struggle. And so we like to monitor our graduates and see how well they're doing at the next level. We take that feedback and then we change it into operational action points for our cadets. So this is the Academic Learning Center that we're in right now. We have some exciting things planned for it for the future, but right now I think this just exemplifies our core desire. This is by far the largest classroom space that we have. Our normal classes range from as few as 4 students to as many as 17 or 18. And 18 is the physical limit for any classroom here, except for this one space. So then you might ask yourself, why is this one space larger than all these other spaces? Well, a couple different things happen down in the Academic Learning Center. As we mentioned in several other places, learning at Hargrave is a relationship. And so we have small class sizes in order to develop that relationship. But we're also a small school, let's be honest about that. And as a small school, we cannot do all things for all students, but that doesn't mean that there are certain things that aren't still within our mission. And so the ALC, the Academic Learning Center, is a place where we take care of kind of the outliers, if you like, or the wings on the bell curve. And so if you're a student that is not doing so well, and again, it's a little bit strange, even if you're in a class with only 4 or 5, the reality is it's going to sometimes feel like you're in the fishbowl with those 4 or 5. And so down in the Academic Learning Center, we can have very individualized learning. And so our learning specialist can work with you about the specifics. And she's a little bit more separated than your normal faculty member. So if guys, the way that we sometimes think, we're like, hey, if I admit that I'm struggling in something, say basic skills with my English teacher, we're kind of maybe a little concerned that our English teacher might, that would color their opinion of us. And so with our academic specialist and our guidance counselors, there's sometimes a little bit more of a heart-to-heart that can happen beyond the normal relationship that we expect with our faculty. And so as that academic specialist starts to work, oftentimes they see that there's a trend amongst multiple faculty. So a young man is struggling in science class, in history class, and English class because maybe he's a reluctant reader. So on paper, he seems like he can read just fine, but he knows that he's just not really as confident about it as possible. Our Academic Learning Center staff, they can oftentimes pull together some hints and some kind of academic skills tutoring that can reinforce our normal How to Study program. Also, some of our guys come on in and maybe in a previous year, they didn't do so well in coursework. And so they're fundamentally fine. They have the skills required, but now they need an opportunity to do a little bit of credit recovery. And so the Academic Learning Center is the place where credit recovery can be done using a variety of sort of non-traditional formats. So using a mastery learning format rather than a traditional classroom rubric might be something that the Academic Learning Center can support. And some of our young men find that that's a very effective way to quickly catch up with their cohort. On the other end of the spectrum are our students that might want to be taking college classes. So even though some of our faculty have college credentials or the credentials to be college professors, we can't offer all those courses. So in English, for example, we're going to have 18 students that will get college credit. And so our English faculty are adjunct professors at a college. And so they're allowed to do what's called dual enrollment. They get a high school credit as well as a college credit. And they actually have two transcripts. They have a Hargrave transcript and they have a transcript from a college that can be used to transfer for their true freshman college year. But there's another number of students that are taking college classes that might not have enough interest at Hargrave. And so if there's only one or two students interested in that college class, they would actually come here to the Academic Learning Center, and our Academic Learning Center staff would make sure that they were able to navigate the online learning requirements for college students. So just as we know that the high school classroom is not the same as the college classroom, online learning or remote learning at the high school level is very different than online learning or remote learning at the college level. And so we know because of relationships that oftentimes through the computer, it's difficult to kind of become comfortable with your college professor. And so our ALC staff help the student create that daily schedule rather than a weekly schedule or monthly schedule that a college professor might normally put out in their syllabus. And that daily schedule allows them to make sure that they stay on task and stay on track to finish the college course.
So we're here at Hargrave with Tom Messinger, our Director of Athletics, and we're going to chat a little bit about the athletic program here, one of our 4 pillars. Tom, would you tell us a little bit about how athletics plays into the role of developing young men into leaders of character?
Sure. Athletics obviously plays a pivotal role in our 4-pillar approach, and it kind of bleeds into everything else as well. We believe that a young man that is physically fit, that's engaged in a team activity, is going to be more productive in the classroom. They're going to be a better member of the barracks and the military side of the school. They're also going to generally lift up everybody around them because there are a lot of lessons that are learned in team sports like sacrifice, being a member of a community, lifting somebody else up around you that are really, really important, not just in athletics but also in life.
So one of the things you've added to the athletics program this year is an arrangement with the Positive Coaching Alliance. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I love it. It's a great organization. It's a national organization that trains coaches, and all of our coaches go through a training process. So they're certified through the organization as a double goal coach. Number 1 is obviously competitive excellence. We still like to win games. That's still fun and makes everybody happy. But number 2 is that our coaches teach life lessons through sport. And that's really the more important aspect of what we do. But they go through a training every year. There's a lot of different resources that all of our coaches have that are specific to members of the Positive Coaching Alliance. So their vision statement kind of aligns really, really closely with ours.
So tell us a little about some of the sports that a future student might get to participate in here while he's a cadet.
Yeah, we've got a wide range of sports. We've got baseball, basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse, cross country. We have a rifle team. We have swimming, wrestling, outdoor track and field. I mean, you name it, we've got it. We're even thinking about starting up an esports program this year. So that's exciting. Really, what we want to make sure that we offer is a wide range of sports that every young man that wants to be involved in athletics can be. But then also, we don't want to spread ourselves too thin that we don't offer any given sports on a certain year. So all of our teams are really healthy in size, but there is opportunities there to participate.
So tell us a little bit about some of the facilities we have here on campus that help us achieve success on the athletics program.
Yeah, I mean, we're really blessed to have incredible facilities for our athletes. We just renovated our weight room. It's brand new. We have college coaches that will come in and take a look at our weight room and will actually say that they wish they had those facilities at their colleges. So we're really proud of that space. The cool thing about that weight room in particular is that it allows like a 7th grader, an 8th grader, or a high schooler that's not really physically fit, doesn't know how to use the equipment, doesn't know what their body is doing yet, to engage and work on their personal fitness, and also allows us to train the highest level athlete. So we've got everybody from students that have never played sports before to literal future NBA athletes that can all find something down in that weight room to grapple with and to improve themselves. So it's a great space for us. Our athletic fields are top notch. The gym that we're in right now is historic and known around the country. So some great facilities for us.
Hi, my name's Amanda Weishauer. I'm the aquatics director and head swim coach here at Hargrave. Here at the ODAC, we are one of the fastest swim pools in the Virginia area. We are Olympic sized, so we're actually 50 meters by 25 yards. What that means is we can go 8 lengths long course and 22 lengths short course. We operate at about 82 degrees, which is perfect for swim meets. We host multiple swim meets throughout the year, again, because we are the fastest pool in the local area. Some of the opportunities that we have here at the ODAC. Well, first of all, we're open all year round. We are about to operate a swim club. So what that means is if your son wants to swim all year round and compete through a USA swimming club, this is the place, because we will be able to host quite a lot of meets here and travel as well. So a year-round USA swim club. Second opportunities, we offer lifeguard classes. The ODAC is the only place your son can work while they're here at Hargrave. So this gives them great opportunity to get some lifetime experience. If they don't work here, they can get that American Red Cross lifeguard certification and take it with them in the summer. That means that they can work from home, anywhere in the country. They can gain valuable experience and put them leadership skills that they learned here and put them into that real world situation. Then when they come back, they're going to build and grow, become a strong young man that we're all hoping that we're seeing them. The third thing is we offer first aid, CPR and AED classes, a valuable skill that is important to everyone. We're focusing on the seniors getting that skill, and they'll be qualified for 2 years, and again they can take that out into the local community. Other things we offer, scuba classes, from the beginner, open water, to more advanced. If your son is not very confident in the water, we offer free swim lessons. We work with them and our instructors to get them in the water, outside the swim conditioning, to get them more comfortable. That way they have learned another life skill while here at Hargrave. Thank you very much for everything. We really appreciate it. All the very best.
One of the things that attracts many parents to Hargrave is the How to Study program. And, let me be honest about this. How to Study is not nearly as straightforward or as easy as we might like to think. Oftentimes, in a young man's earlier educational career, a teacher might have just said, oh, here's a textbook and away we go. Or they may have said something along the lines of, well, I'm going to give you some homework assignments and I'm sure you'll figure out how to do them. Even in today's day and age of electronic planners and online resources, oftentimes there's a disconnect. Let me say first and foremost that at Hargrave we really do believe that education and training are actually two different things, and we need to try to link those two things together. So from a training standpoint, oftentimes it makes perfect sense that a sense of fairness or professionalism is that you don't require someone to do something until you know that they've been trained to do it. which means that they get some sort of briefing on why it's important, and then you get some nuts and bolts of how to do it. Then they demonstrate it to you, and then there's a period in which you reinforce it and reteach it or retrain as necessary. And so we know that that's true for adults. I think we know that that's true for athletes, but somewhere along the way, a lot of schools have lost sight of that for their students. And so our How to Study program is not really a program that says, oh, guys are not good at studying. It's more of an issue of maybe guys have not yet been given a fair shake at the How to Study program. And then obviously the How to Study skills give you immediate success, but really in the minds of many of our adults, How to Study is really code word for saying how to be successful.
This is Colonel Brown again, President of Hargrave. I appreciate you doing the video tour today. I'm sorry you couldn't have come to campus to visit and seen it firsthand, but hopefully this tour that you had today, you were able to learn a little bit more about Hargrave, and hopefully we're a fit for your son to attend. Our staff and faculty are available to answer all of your questions. If your son wants to talk to a cadet, we can arrange that. If your son wants to talk to a coach, we can arrange that. If you need to talk with anybody to answer further questions, work through your admissions counselor or the director of admissions. We want to make sure that you have all your questions answered. Sending your son to a boarding school, either as a boarding student or a day student, is a big decision, and we know that. We like to say that we don't try to replace parenting, we try to replicate parenting. So I can only assure you of one thing. Your son comes to Hargrave, he'll be loved, nurtured, and cared for, just as if he was our own son. So thank you again for attending Hargrave, and we look forward to talking to you in the future.